Sarah, this is the good luck charm I practically moved heaven and earth to get for you. Quick, try it on. Olivia held out the beautifully wrapped bracelets, saying sweetly, may you ace your studies, have a happy family, and stay healthy. Seeing this familiar scene, I felt a wave of days wash over me. In my past life, I'd happily taken these bracelets and put them on immediately. After that, my life took a drastic turn. I barely managed to stay calm, just barely stopping myself from throwing the gift box. I took the box and whispered my thanks. Thanks. Seeing my flat reaction, they both paused. Ethan spoke first. Your best friend risked life and limb to get this for you. She almost broke her arm climbing to get it. And that's all the reaction you have? Don't you want to open it and see? He looked grim, clearly not happy. Olivia also looked at me expectantly, cooing, don't blame her. She must be so happy. She's just a bit overwhelmed. Watching the way they were making eyes at each other, I felt sick to my stomach, but I still feigned a touched expression. Thanks, Olivia. You really went to a lot of trouble. I opened the gift box. Inside lay 3 exquisite crystal bracelets. Purple for academics, green for family, yellow for health. Each bracelet shimmered with a faint, captivating light. So strange and beautiful. It was hard to look away. I examined the bracelets, hesitating to put them on. Quick, try them on. Olivia took the bracelets, about to put them on my wrist. I dodged, explaining with a smile, now's not the right time. I need to shower first, then I'll wear them. I don't want to get them dirty. Olivia was clearly a bit impatient, but she couldn't argue with my excuse. Okay, well, make sure you wear them. I went through so much to get these. Ethan glanced at the bracelets, his delight seeming genuine. These bracelets are gorgeous. I'm sure they'll bring our Sarah happiness and good health. Watching them flirt and laugh as if I wasn't there, the hatred in my heart deepened. I only hated that I hadn't noticed their sneaky behavior before, and had treated them as my closest friends. In my past life, I had indeed joyfully accepted the bracelets and put them on, my heart overflowing with gratitude. But after that, my mind grew increasingly foggy. I couldn't focus on anything. I just thought it was because the competition was approaching, that I was too anxious and not well rested. Then, on the day of the competition, I suddenly forgot my dance moves on stage. I lost my balance and fell. My mistake brought shame to my alma mater. As public opinion festered, some even said I'd bribed my way into college. Eventually, I received an expulsion letter, saying goodbye to my lifelong dream of becoming a dance star. After that, my life completely turned upside down. My once close parents suddenly became bitter enemies, quickly squandering all our family's money. The house was filled with endless shouting and abuse. That fall, because the stage was so high, even though they saved my life, I ended up severely paralyzed. My body was broken, and with no money for treatment, I could only take painkillers to stay lucid for short periods. In this condition, Ethan, my fiancé, brought his parents, storming to my house to break off the engagement. Seeing my miserable state, he sneered, "Look at you now. How could you possibly marry me? Who would want a cripple who can only move their upper body?" His parents were arrogant and aggressive. "How dare you waste so many years of my son's life? You have to compensate us. At least $100,000. That's for my son's wasted youth. The last few valuables in our house were taken by them as compensation." Pushed to the brink, I saw on the trending topics that Olivia was holding a trophy, the headline calling her a dance prodigy. She had never even learned to dance, yet she won a world-class competition. Her movements were light and graceful, like a fluttering butterfly, earning the admiration of all the audience, and the title of a dance genius. Not to mention her parents, who used to fight constantly, had suddenly become loving and harmonious overnight. Her family life was perfect. Barely hanging on, I went to find Olivia, only to be met with complete despair. My ex-fiancé was now her boyfriend. I broke down and questioned him, but he answered indifferently, "I've loved Olivia all along. You were just a stepping stone to get closer to her." I was still wearing the bracelets. Hearing his words, rage made me want to smash them. Olivia's expression froze, and she immediately stopped me. They exchanged a look and overpowered me. As I struggled, Olivia tied my hands with a rope. Since you've found out, then you can just die. I didn't have time to think. A rope quickly tightened around my neck. I died in agonizing despair. Only after death did I understand. It was all a trap. Those 3 crystal bracelets had swapped my life with Olivia's. This time, I absolutely will not let them walk over my dead body to live their perfect lives. I was getting a little impatient. Actually, why don't I go home now, shower and put them on? I said with a smile. I noticed a fleeting look of mockery in Olivia's eyes. I declined their offer to drive me home. I made a special trip to a crystal shop and picked out 3 identical bracelets. Then I went to a storm drain, tossed the bracelet representing family in with some food scraps. Soon, I heard scurrying sounds from the drain opening. Once I was sure rats had taken the bracelet, I drove to a forest park. Even at night, the crystal bracelet glowed brightly. I threw the bracelet for health under a tree and walked away. Soon a bat swooped down and snatched it up. The academic's bracelet I tossed into a pig farm, placing it right next to a huge pig. After all that, I finally went home. A text from Olivia came through. Sarah, did you put them on? Don't they look great? Send me a picture, let me see. I took a picture of my hand wearing the 3 fake bracelets and sent it to her. Only then did she reply, satisfied, Mum. I knew that color would suit you. I hope all your wishes come true, Sarah, and everything goes your way. I didn't reply to her message. Not long after, she updated her social media. Hey fam, check out my new nails. The picture showed her fingers on a man's abs. Her cat eye nails were flashy and gorgeous. In the corner of the photo, a half-open box of condoms and a man's watch were visible. Even though the lighting was dim, I recognized it. It was the first birthday present I ever gave Ethan. Scrolling down, it was all congratulatory comments. Damn, you're eating good. When did you get a boyfriend? OMG, we know your boyfriend has abs now. So jealous, ugh. I chuckled and liked her post. Olivia, this is just the beginning. We'll settle this score slowly. I turned off my phone screen and started practicing in the dance studio. This time, without the bracelet's influence, I was full of energy. Even after dancing for hours, I didn't feel tired at all. Looking at my healthy, whole legs, for the first time, I felt grateful for this rebirth. A few days later, Olivia called me in a hurry. Sarah, how's your competition prep going? Hearing the probing tone in her voice, I feigned exhaustion. Don't even ask. I've been so tired lately. I haven't practiced much. Maybe it's pre-competition anxiety. I'm thinking of taking a break for a while. Olivia sighed in relief. Her tone gentle. It's okay. I believe you can definitely do it. After hanging up, I continued my intensive practice. A few days later, I got another call from Olivia. Sarah, how are your parents doing lately? I glanced at my folks in the living room, acting all lovey-dovey, and said flatly, don't mention it. They've been fighting constantly lately. Nothing I say helps. But Olivia didn't seem reassured. Instead, she said, why don't I come over to your place and help? I'm pretty good at handling these things. After a moment's thought, I agreed to her request. I hung up and turned to my parents. Someone's coming over later. Can you guys act out a scene with me? Just pretend you're not getting along. This friend of mine is a bit twisted. My parents were confused, but they nodded anyway. I piled some clutter on the dining table and messed up the sofa and chairs. Before long, Olivia arrived. I gave a subtle nod, and they quickly started arguing. Why are you bringing friends over when you have nothing better to do? Isn't this house messy enough? Get out, all of you, get out. Olivia craned her neck, staring intently at the scene, a flicker of relief in her eyes several times. I gestured for Olivia to step outside. You see, I said, things aren't great at my place right now. Maybe you shouldn't come in. Seeing all this, Olivia breathed a sigh of relief, but her tone was concerned. Oh, I was just worried about you. I noticed several new scars on her wrist. The marks were deep, not like they were from an impact, more like bite marks. I managed to send her away. Then I got in my car and quietly followed her, all the way to her house. Loud noises came from inside. Haven't you ever fucking eaten before? You're fighting me for this too? And all you do is wander around all day. You useless piece of shit. This was followed by a woman's screams and pleas. Don't bite me. Stop biting me. You're going to bite my flesh off. The sound of gnawing was very loud. I could faintly hear Olivia's pain cries. After a flurry of commotion, the house finally fell silent. It seemed the family bracelet was already working. Olivia was getting her first taste of the bitter fruit. But this was just the beginning. Sure enough, she was so busy these past few days. She hadn't even updated her social media. At our last get-together before the competition, Olivia was wearing heavy makeup to cover the dark circles under her eyes. She kept staring at my wrist, making sure all 3 bracelets were there, before finally relaxing. Sarah, good luck on your exam, I said, feigning exhaustion. Yeah, I'll do my best. During this time, my life had been fantastic, so my complexion was great. To keep them from noticing, I deliberately made myself look more haggard. Ugh, my parents have been fighting more and more. They're even talking about divorce. I'm under so much stress. Maybe I shouldn't even compete. Hearing this, Olivia frowned and said loudly, "How can you say that? You've prepared for this competition for so long. You have to participate. Don't worry, I'll definitely support you. If I didn't compete, how could I be the foil to her dance prodigy?" I snorted inwardly. In my past life, it was precisely because of my mistake-ridden dance that I became a stark contrast to Olivia. Netizens started heatedly discussing the gap between us. I had trained in dance for over a decade, yet I was worse than a beginner. Praise for Olivia was often accompanied by insults directed at me, becoming the last straw that broke me. This time, I looked at the fake bracelets on my wrist and smiled enigmatically. Who would be the one to make a fool of themselves, I wondered. Soon it was competition day. I wore the custom-made dance costume my parents had gotten for me and made a dazzling entrance. With the experience of my past life, I no longer felt any pressure this time around. After all, no matter what, it couldn't be worse than before. When my dance finished, my parents applauded enthusiastically from the audience, their eyes red with emotion. As expected, I won first place. They were holding bouquets, ready to take me out to eat. I was idly scrolling through my phone when a trending news notification popped up. Pig squeals at dance prelims. A perversion of humanity, or a moral collapse. My finger, about to swipe past, paused. I clicked on it. The star of the trending topic was none other than Olivia. Just like in my past life, she had signed up for the preliminary round of an international dance competition. I remembered in my past life, she had made her mark on this stage, advancing directly to the finals. This time, it seemed she didn't even make it past the prelims. In the video, she could barely stand. Even the most basic moves were clumsy and awkward. But she didn't seem to realize it, flailing her short limbs around, which was quite comical. Worse, halfway through her dance, she suddenly started oinking like a pig, each oink louder than the last, stunning the judges and audience. They quickly called security to drag her off stage. She struggled, refusing to leave, her angry voice filling the venue. "What are you doing? I'm a dance prodigy. Why are you kicking me out? I'm a genius. All of you should be worshipping me." The security guards just assumed she was crazy and used more force to drag her away. The video ended abruptly there. One can only imagine what a huge fool Olivia made of herself that day. I burst out laughing. Even just through the screen, I could feel how devastated she was. Before long, her phone started ringing. Her devastated voice came from the other end. "Sarah, can you please come to my place? I feel so awful. I wasn't feeling well today, and so many things went wrong. I need you." I verbally agreed. After finishing dinner with my parents, I drove to Olivia's house. She looked like she had been crying for a long time. Her eyes were swollen like walnuts, her face stained with tears, hair disheveled, and her complexion pale. Seeing me appear before her, perfectly fine, a flash of hatred crossed her eyes. I saw the searching look on her face, but didn't plan to speak first. She finally broke, her voice choked with tears. You did really well in your competition, didn't you? I heard you got first place. I said calmly. You've never learned to dance, have you? I saw online that you apparently entered the prelims. Meeting my gaze, she flinched and took a few steps back. That was an accident. I just wanted to try it out for fun. Who knew something like that would happen? I just said, oh, and nothing more. The competition had clearly stung Olivia. She couldn't help but speak again. Why did you perform so well? Didn't you say you were in bad shape these past few days? Her eyes quickly scanned my wrist, only to find the purple bracelet symbolizing academics was gone. Olivia's wailing voice abruptly stopped. Then came her frantic question, your bracelet? Why aren't you wearing it? I feigned innocence, my voice tinged with a question. You mean the purple one? My new pet mini pig really loves it. I let her play with it today. I'll wash it and put it on when I get home. The words pet mini pig clearly struck a nerve with Olivia. She struggled to stay calm, her face turning ashen with rage. She even let out a few pig-like snorts. She realized it herself, and her expression darkened further. The hatred blazing in her eyes seemed almost tangible, as if she wanted to tear me limb from limb. That was the bracelet I got for you, and you just casually let an animal wear it. You've ruined everything. Everything's ruined. She roared, completely losing her composure, pacing restlessly around the room. I noticed she was still snorting heavily through her nose. I instinctively took a few steps back. She really did look a bit like an animal. Pet pigs are cute. Besides, I'm still wearing the other two, right? Why are you so angry? I asked, feigning hurt. She did indeed freeze, seemingly realizing something was off. But she just stood there stunned, slow to react. All right, I'll put it on when I get back. Don't be mad. I casually soothed her. However reluctant Olivia was, she had to agree. I was about to get up and leave, when the door was pushed open from the outside. Ethan walked in, his face dark. He was clearly startled to see me, and immediately changed his tone. Olivia said you were here, so I came over. I didn't call him out on it, just replied coolly. I'm about to head back now. You can come with me. Before Ethan could speak, Olivia suddenly lunged from behind and hugged me. Her usually petite frame seemed larger, and the force made me stumble back several steps. I feel so sick. Sarah, can you stay and keep me company, please? Her words were directed at me, but her eyes were fixed on Ethan. Suppressing my disgust, I said, I have urgent things to do. Why don't you let Ethan stay and take care of you? Since the three of us are such good friends, it's only right he looks after you. With that, ignoring Ethan's stunned expression, I strode out of the house. I had thought things would unfold sequentially, that Olivia would pay for her evil deeds. But I hadn't expected things to progress so quickly. A few days later, I received a call from Ethan. His voice was panicked, as if Olivia were some kind of monster. Sarah, something's happened at your friend's house. You need to come quick. From the other end of the line, I could hear intermittent sounds of heavy objects crashing, a series of bangs and thuds, as if something truly serious was happening. My heart leaped, a mix of anticipation and excitement, even though I had mentally prepared myself all the way there. When I arrived, I was still shocked by the scene before me. Olivia's mother was pregnant, but it wasn't a normal pregnancy. She was less than a month along, yet her belly was enormous, much larger than someone 4 or 5 months pregnant. Her father was solely focused on eating, making slurping noises. When he finished what was in his bowl, he stared intently at the woman's belly, like a predator lurking in the shadows. Olivia's mother was screaming non-stop, glaring viciously at Olivia's father. If they hadn't been restrained, they would have literally torn each other apart. Watching this scene, it finally sank in. The power of the bracelets was truly immense. Olivia came from a dysfunctional family, Her father was abusive and an alcoholic. Her mother a gambler and a thief. They often fought violently at home, but never had it been as grotesque as this. Olivia was so terrified by the scene her legs gave out, and she couldn't stand. It was Ethan who called an ambulance to take her parents to the hospital. While Olivia's mother was being examined at the hospital, Olivia finally found a moment to ask me, trembling, "Aren't your parents getting along really well?" This question was full of holes. Ethan shot her a harsh glare, and she quickly rephrased, are they still fighting lately?" I looked down, hiding the smile I could barely suppress, and said in a low voice, "My mom's pregnant, but my dad doesn't want the baby. That's probably why. They've been arguing. It's okay, I can handle it." Olivia stared at me for a long time, before finally nodding. The diagnosis came back quickly, stunning everyone present. Olivia's mother was pregnant with 12 babies. This was extremely rare. No wonder her belly was so huge. The doctor gave Olivia a meaningful look and continued, "The patient's family member appears to be mentally unstable. I recommend an emergency psychiatric consultation." Behind her, Olivia's father was gnawing on his own fingernails. Upon closer inspection, several nails were already gone. Olivia stood up in a panic, wanting to stop him, but her father shoved her away. "What are you doing? Who said you could touch me? Get lost. Don't think I don't know. You want to steal my treasure." Olivia's father roared twice, drawing stares from everyone around. Olivia couldn't stand so many people staring. She turned and pleaded with me, "Sarah, you've seen my family's situation, but I really don't have any money right now. Could you lend me some?" Even though I was still in college, I always worked part-time jobs. My parents also gave me a generous allowance, so I had some savings. In the past, I had lent Olivia a lot of money. Whenever she asked, I would always give it to her. I never thought my kindness would be repaid with such treachery. However miserable I was in my past life, that's how much I hated her in this one. I sighed. It's not that I don't want to, but I really don't have any money on me. The dance costume for the competition a few days ago, I paid for it myself. And with my parents fighting, they've frozen my bank card. There's nothing I can do. As I spoke, I turned to Ethan. "Why don't you lend it to her? I can vouch for her. Olivia is definitely not the type to borrow and not repay." Ethan mumbled, wanting to refuse. "Ethan, we're such good friends. You wouldn't be unwilling, would you?" Meeting my gaze, he could only nod. He reluctantly handed his bank card to Olivia, his face full of annoyance. It was a considerable sum. You could tell it pained him deeply. Olivia's mind really seemed to have dulled quite a bit. I wondered if it was the effect of the bracelets. She wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead and dragged Ethan to pay. As if without Ethan, she truly couldn't do anything. I averted my gaze and left the hospital. Olivia's parents' relationship deteriorated further. She grew more anxious by the day. At first, she only called me every few days to probe about my family situation. Now, she called every single day. To avoid arousing her suspicion, I answered every call, describing an increasingly dire situation at home. Until a few days ago, Olivia seemed to have vanished off the face of the earth, and the calls stopped. Several days passed. Ethan suddenly found me and insisted on dragging me to the hospital. He looked like he was on the verge of a complete breakdown. Disheveled clothes, a stubbled chin, and deep dark circles under his eyes. "Olivia, she's sick too." He kept glancing at the bracelets on my wrist out of the corner of his eye, before reluctantly speaking. "I'm taking you to the hospital to see her now. She definitely wants to see you." I went with him. When I saw Olivia, I couldn't help but gasp. She was covered in tubes, and both her arms were gone. Even though it was daytime, the hospital room was dim. A suspicion formed in my mind. I went over and pulled open the curtains. Warm sunlight streamed in, but it made Olivia on the bed scream. She shrieked and thrashed around on the bed. "Close them. It's too bright." Ethan quickly went to close the curtains. Only then did she quiet down. "The doctors can't figure out what's wrong with her. She screams more pitifully each day." Her mental state is also unstable. Later, I couldn't watch her properly. She darted out into the road and got into an accident. Looking at her empty sleeves, Ethan's voice was dry and hoarse. Olivia had a congenital heart condition, now infected with some unknown virus. Her life was hanging by a thread. The hospital had issued several critical condition notices. She could die here at any moment. Sometimes she would let out agonized groans. Other times she would keep calling Ethan's name. After a few minutes, she seemed to regain some clarity, pointed at me and said, "The bracelets. The bracelets on you, they're all mine. All mine." After saying this, she lapsed back into unconsciousness. Ethan froze, whipping his head to look at me. Meeting my cool, restrained gaze, he took a deep breath, as if making some kind of decision. He tentatively reached for my wrist, but I pulled away. "Sarah, I need to talk to you." I gestured with my eyes to leave the room. Eventually, we went out into the hallway. He hesitated, his gaze dark and heavy as he looked at me. "Go on," I said calmly. "You shouldn't wear these bracelets anymore. Olivia wants to scheme against you, but I can't tell you the specifics. If you take the bracelets off, everything will end." I chuckled lightly. "Are you talking about swapping lives? If that's it, then there's no need for you to tell me, because I already know." His expression turned cold, his face instantly paling. His previously composed demeanor vanished without a trace. "You know everything? When did you find out? Do you hate me?" I shook my head, took his hand, and spoke softly. "I know Olivia must have tricked you. You didn't really want to hurt me at all, right? Why don't we just let things play out? You end all this, and we'll pretend nothing happened. We'll get married after graduation." He knew very well that my family was well off. My parents ran a business, their income substantial. I even had dozens of properties in my name. If he married me, he could escape his life of poverty. In my past life, even until I died, I never understood why Ethan harmed me. This time, I finally realized. It was because my parents proposed a prenuptial agreement, forcing him to align with Olivia. Olivia was dark and selfish. How could he possibly not choose me, attractive as I was, and instead pick a woman with nothing? Rather than achieve financial freedom by marrying me, it was better to just take everything I had. His eventual marriage to Olivia wasn't because of love either, but because he knew Olivia's secret and could control her with it. From start to finish, Ethan only ever thought of himself. "Sarah, He bit his lip, seemingly finding it hard to make the decision. But I knew Ethan was the type to do anything to achieve his goals. He would definitely agree. So I crinkled my eyes, making my smile appear more sincere. "Ethan, this is very simple. If you help me with this, after we get married, I can give you half of my assets. I know you just feel insecure. Don't worry, I love you so much. How could I bear to see you unhappy?" His wavering heart steadily firmed up. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." Ethan stopped her treatment. Olivia was sent home. Not long after, I heard that her father had been sent to a psychiatric hospital. Watching the videos circulating online, I was momentarily stunned, because they had no money. Olivia's parents were always stealing things in the neighborhood, shouting and screaming. Even when the police took them in, they couldn't do much with them. Neighbors came out to complain. She stole my eggs and snatched my grandson's cake. Every night, we hear strange noises from upstairs. Who wouldn't go crazy? Lock these people up quickly. Don't let them harm society. At first, they were indeed taken in and held for a few days. But they would even gnaw on the iron bars at the police station. It was clear they weren't mentally sound. What could be done? Before long, the videos changed to news of Olivia's father being sentenced. Driven to desperation, Olivia's father had murdered Olivia's mother. The method was extremely brutal. He had cut open her stomach, revealing several unformed fetuses inside. The smell of blood attracted a neighbor. At that moment, Olivia's father was licking the blood off the floor. The terrified neighbor immediately reported it, and he was locked up. This incident escalated from a minor issue to a major one. Olivia's father was taken away, diagnosed with a mental illness, and sent to a psychiatric hospital. I didn't know how much of this was Ethan's doing, but I couldn't help but feel a chill. Ethan was ruthless. I had to deal with someone like him sooner rather than later. He worked quickly. Not long after, he called me. "You can come to Olivia's place this afternoon. I've prepared everything." The only condition I had made was to witness Olivia's death with my own eyes. Ethan didn't suspect anything, just assumed I hated her so much that I wanted to see her ugly, dying struggles. I went to the appointment as planned. Olivia lay weakly on the bed. Her head had become very large. The wrinkles on her skin stretched smooth, making her look somewhat terrifying. I had thought she'd lost her mind, but when she saw me, she became agitated. "It was you. You deliberately harmed me. This was all your scheme, wasn't it?" I didn't say much, but walked to the side and sat down, enjoying her grotesque state. "If you don't want anyone to know, don't do it in the first place. This is just your retribution." I lowered my head and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Guess why your dad suddenly bit your mom to death? It was Ethan. Ethan told me about your plot long ago. That's why I never wore the bracelets you gave me. His so-called love for you? That was all a lie. You can ask him yourself. I'm only telling you the truth before you die because I pity you, so you don't die without knowing why." Olivia's eyes slowly widened, her heavy breathing becoming more pronounced. I had wanted to say a few more things, but Ethan clicked his tongue impatiently, so I got up. "I've changed my mind. It's too bloody. I can't watch." Ethan pouted. Troublesome. I didn't say anything else, closed the main door, and walked out quickly. Ethan didn't ask any more questions. Soon, a scream came from the room, but it was immediately muffled, as if a hand had covered her mouth. Around the corner, I dialed 911. The police arrived quickly. The main door was kicked open. The room was a mess. Blood everywhere. They had both fainted on the floor. Olivia was on top of Ethan. Her teeth sunk into his throat. There was a deep, bloody gash on his neck, blood constantly gushing out. The police checked their breathing and sighed slightly in relief. Fortunately, neither of them was dead. The police had to call an ambulance again to take them both away. Watching this outcome, I breathed a sigh of relief. I had never planned for Ethan to kill Olivia. What I wanted was for both of them to be punished simultaneously, so they could never harm anyone again. The final outcome was indeed as I wished. Ethan received a heavier sentence. Olivia was considered to have acted in self-defense, but now she was insane and disabled, with no family to care for her. Out of desperation, Ethan's parents, to get her to sign a letter of forgiveness, took on the responsibility of caring for her. Olivia was never a good person. Her attitude was atrocious. When lucid, she amused herself by tormenting the old couple. They could only endure it for their son's sake. It was a case of an evildoer getting their just desserts from another evildoer. Ethan's parents, who had taken advantage of my situation in my past life, also indirectly received their due punishment. I visited Ethan once. When he saw me, he became agitated, but was pulled back by the chains on his hands. "When I get out, this isn't over with you. As long as I'm alive, I'll definitely kill you. You just wait." Even through the partition, it felt like his saliva was about to spray on my face. I enjoyed his desperate, struggling demeanor, and said calmly, "Oh really? Well, good luck with that. Survive these next 20 years first, then we'll talk." He roared and shouted. Security personnel quickly came forward to restrain him. Before I left, he stared at me furiously, as if trying to burn a hole through me with his gaze. I didn't care. I even had the leisure to give him a peace sign. After returning home, I suggested to my parents that we move to a different city. The climate in this city wasn't very good for living. They had already been planning to move after my graduation. We deliberated for a long time, and finally chose an auspicious day to leave this city. For me, it was more about getting away from this place of trouble and strife. With my perfect resume, I became a dance teacher, guiding more people onto the path of dance. 20-some years flew by. I finally learned about Olivia and Ethan's fate from a TV news report. Although Olivia was disabled, she had been well cared for by Ethan's parents over the years and had signed the letter of forgiveness. Ethan was released early. The first thing he did was try to find me. When he couldn't find me anywhere, he vented all his rage on Olivia. Ignoring his parents' pleas, he took a knife and stabbed Olivia to death. "You schemed against me. You schemed against me." He kept repeating these words like a madman, his expression crazed. Not long after getting out, he was sentenced to death. I once revisited the old places to see if I could find those 3 cursed bracelets. Unfortunately, no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't find any trace of them. Looking at this familiar scene before me, my mind felt a little hazy. Having endured everything this time, I knew no one and nothing could ever affect me again. In contrast, my own life was now filled with a happy family, 2 wonderful children, healthy parents, and a gentle, caring husband. Everything was as perfect as it could be. My daughter had grown into a beautiful young woman. Seeing me watching that news report, she frowned, then turned off the TV. "Mom, you should watch less of this stuff. It's too dark." She changed the channel to a rom-com. I didn't mind. Okay, I won't watch it then." My son came home just then, holding up a test paper with a high score, grinning as he told me, "Mom, I got first place again." I couldn't stop smiling, my chest filled with pure joy. My husband had cooked a table full of food, and the aroma was wafting through the air. "Sweethearts, come and eat." The children obediently went to wash their hands. My husband secretly planted a kiss on my forehead. Looking at all the food on the table, my appetite surged, and I ate 2 extra bowls of rice. Life is still so long, so beautiful. This life of mine, after all, has not been lived in vain. The end.